Racism. Yes, that's a very difficult topic to talk about. And I was just trying to write a script that I could be reading on camera and that would make more sense to you and I could explain it to you a little bit better. But it was so difficult to write about it and to think about it. And I then decided to speak with my auntie, who is 72 years old, and we were talking about it, and I was asking her questions about my black background, and I remember asking the same questions to my grandma, her mom, the same questions when I was younger, and it was very difficult for her, who is 72 years old, to tell me things about my black heritage. And I managed to get a little bit of more information from her, but it's still not sufficient to know a lot about my black heritage. And yes, I mean, that really shows that even within my family and with mixed race family, that there is a lack of sufficient information where we can form our identities. And growing up, it was really difficult for me because I knew so much about my white heritage, and there was a lot of information about the Europeans, and there was a lot of information that my white relatives would tell me and what they used to do, where they came from, etc. But that was always lacking the other side, and but obviously racism, right? My black side didn't really get so much attention, and they, in some ways, were not really proud of sharing information about their relatives, where they came from. And I find this really heartbreaking because I really wanted to know everything about my heritage, right? I'm really proud from all the backgrounds where I come from. And yeah, I mean, racism has always been stamped in my family. When I was a child, I could see racism so often because a lot of my relatives were racist, let's put it that way. Yeah, so it was really, really tough growing up because I was living into two worlds, and into the white family and then in the black family side. And for me, when people ask me, what are you? Are you white or are you black? And I could not tell anyone what I was. That was really tough, especially when I was a teenager, because I couldn't find any answers for my questions within my family. And at the same time, I didn't feel that I belonged in the white side or either in the black side of my family. So I was always divided. At the same time, I was always fighting for both sides. If I was with the black side of my family, I would defend the white side, and then vice versa. You know, it was hard work, and it was really difficult. It was difficult for me to form an identity of who I am. Luckily nowadays, I have so much more information, and even after I'm chatting with my auntie just 10 minutes ago, I got so much more information, which makes me really proud of my black side with my Indian side of Brazil. And yeah, obviously I already know everything about my European side, Italian and Portuguese. I think I know enough information about this side of the story. And so basically, I I'm starting to understand that when you think that there's no racism anymore, you should really reflect. There is racism everywhere, wherever you go, whichever country you go. And I can guarantee you that we should ask black people if there is racism or not, because they're living approve of all, the difficult situations that I have to go through, including myself in it. And we are the experts in the topic. And that's one of the reasons why you should really be careful with this kind of mentality that maybe you're living in your bubble, you don't experience racism in your bubble. But it is out there. It's very important that we acknowledge that Black Lives Matter. And I like to add into the Black Lives other communities, the Latinos, the Indians, the Asians, the Arabics, and it's very important that you understand that all these communities, all these nationalities suffer institutional racism. So racism has become so normalized that there are a lot of situations and events and people that are racist and they don't even realize it. I speak that because I've seen it myself in my family. And I remember some of our relatives used to call my dad, for example, as a Negro, and then if you would do something wrong, they would say, "Oh, don't do this as a Negro." And yeah, I mean, there were so many different other things that they would say in situations which they didn't really have to say that, right? You don't say things like that. It is racism and it's offensive. And I remember that I was really upset at the time, and I used to argue with, for example, my mom when she said something like that. And I remember very, very well when she used to call my dad and even me as a monkey as well, and which is terrible. And you see, even with my own family, I experienced racism. And can you even imagine when you are out on the streets that you're dealing with people that you don't even know? I've seen my dad being racially discriminated so many times, and even within my own family. And if you are Asian, or if you are Latino, or if you are from the Middle East, and obviously Africa, I mean, if you are from a different background, you will be seen with prejudice. And it's very important that you join the Black Lives Matter movement right now, because this is the perfect moment where you can fight for just social justice, and you can fight for equal rights, and you can fight for a better world. I mean, I've given you just a little taste of what living with racism is like, and I'm sure there are millions of stories out there. We don't have to go back in time to learn that racism still exists. But it is a very special moment. It's a very special time when you can fight for social justice. You can fight for a better world. You can fight for what's right. This is a very important time that we should all of us, join the Black Lives Matter movement. And it's very important that you make the difference, because we are in this together. And I'm sure that if we fight against racial discrimination together, we can improve and we can have a better future. Black Lives Matter. And if you're white, you will never going to understand what we have to go through. The only thing that you can do is listen to us and help us to fight social injustice. We can improve the world, we can make this world a better place, but we're going to need your help, because it has been centuries of injustice. And you might not be racist, but you have the power right now, and it's on your hands to come and stay by our sides and fight for social justice.